Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome into another exciting episode of Pete's Cornerstore. We're getting set up here for another live edition of the Corner Store. This week we're talking about men's mental health. So we're getting set up as we speak before we start this whole thing. Trying to get Buzz and everybody in here right now, so give me a second here. What's going on, Kristen? How you doing? Just waiting on Buzz and everybody else to get in here. Mic check, mic check. When do we sound? 45, mic check. Too loud, too loud. No. OG, is it too loud?
You what?
Is that too loud? I'm checking on. I got a new mic.
Yeah.
That's too loud?
Yeah.
How about right here?
A little bit more.
A little lower? Okay. How about
All
there?
right. I can hear you. I can hear you crystal clear.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I hadn't anybody in here to test the sound yet, so I was like, ugh. Somebody gifted me a
Now,
mic. I was like, hell yeah.
now I need you to give Buzz shit. She late. I
She
saw
just,
I
she just
saw
messaged
a
me.
pod I saw a podcast mic at Walmart yesterday.
Yeah.
Like just
Should give
for
her like
twenty
5 minutes.
dollars. For $20, but I didn't know. I was like, well, I don't know if I could connect that to the tablet or my phone.
Some of them you can. You can get a mic. I got like TikTok had a good one on there. You can add put your mic on there. You'll just have to test the distance of how far you can have it away before it's too much sound.
Mm-hmm.
No, I got gifted this one. Somebody's like, "Yeah, I got a mic at home. You can have it." I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'll take it. Free is free is free, baby." Liz said she needs 5 more minutes, and she's talking about we need to be ready. She ain't ready. I told her we need to talk about her brother versus brother. She's like, "I didn't do nothing wrong." I'm like, "Yeah, you did. You shouldn't have said that." That's right. Get her TikTok, boy. You tell her. I'll be right back in a second. You coming in here or what? What are you doing? Come on. Come on. Come on. This is dying. Come through the door. You know you can come through there. Stop. All I gotta say, greatest purchase I've made. Cost me only $2. I got one of these screen door things for my back door. It's one of those you can put up yourself. Let me tell you, best thing I picked up so far. Because the flies are horrendous out here, and I don't know why.
Okay, so it's not just me then.
Oh, dude, it's horrible out here. I didn't know how bad it's by you guys, but us, it's ridiculous out there.
It's the heat.
It could be too. I got those fly trap bags out there and stuff like that catch them all. But I've already
It's like
switched to the second one already, and we're not even done with the summer yet.
it's like 105 here.
Oh, I don't even know what it is here. I ain't even looked.
But see, we don't got like regular heat. We got that musty, muggy.
Oh, you guys got the humidity heat. Oh, snap. Nope. That's like Houston
Yeah,
gets that. We get real dry heat up here. We're not
I
that
hate.
close.
Like the thing I hate the most is like,
We're at
you ever
95
been
now.
you ever been in the heat and then it's raining? That musty rain heat, like ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
we. That's what. That's what we get sometimes. I fucking
That's
hate it.
that's what Houston gets too, man, because all that water, since we're so close to that large body of water, man, all that shit gets crazy. Oh, Buzz, come on now. We need you to get it together. She says, I'm ready. Now she's ready. She says 5 minutes and change. She has the worst timing ever.
She says, "Oh, you know how sometimes you ask me like, hey, where'd OG go?'
Yeah.
That's because like my tablets, for some reason, in the middle of the session, the screen will time out, and then I have to sign back in. It doesn't stay on for long periods of time.
So maybe you just have to play around the screen every so often, you know? That might help. I know that it works a lot of times with phones and stuff. You know, when it tries to start turning off on you, if you just kind of give it a little, like, put your finger on it or whatever, usually it'll react that way too. I figure we're going to do it like, Phineas and Ferb. Hey, where's Perry? And then, you have like a weird sound and then you appear. No? Okay. I tried. I tried, you son of a bitch. I got a guy making a theme song, though, for us. I don't know what
Uh,
fingers crossed this doesn't
uh,
turn into a complete disaster, bro. He actually used to
okay.
record music for some kind of country band out here in Texas.
I
He's got a
found
couple.
one that'll let me leave the screen on for 30 minutes before it times out.
Okay.
Usually it's every 5 minutes. So every 5 minutes I'm over here tapping the screen.
What?
Well, you're here. Are you ready?
I'm here.
About time. We gotta talk about your
Okay.
lateness.
6 minutes late.
I had 2 minutes to spare. 2 minutes to spare.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. All
You
right.
asked
All
me.
set.
You asked me earlier. You gonna be on time?
Oh, see, this side conversation we didn't know about.
Well, I have a great intro to start off our thing. So,
Go for it.
all
The
right.
floor is yours.
Oh, Forrest Martin, you already did like, hey, welcome to the podcast.
I've already done the beginning of this thing. OG joined afterwards, but we can cut it. We can trim it up to anywhere I need to. I'll just have to figure. I gotta download it. I gotta download it from the computer, send it to me on my phone, and I can trim it up when I need to. So
Okay. All right. So, welcome to the mental health for men's awareness episode. We're discussing mental health more now than ever before. People are becoming more and more open about their mental health, especially men, which has a stigma on actually talking about their mental health. And we're all learning better ways to support each other. People may often underreport men's mental health, with men not reaching out for the support they need, which is really common. And that's why Men's Mental Health Awareness Month comes in to bring attention to men's mental health. But sure, we want to not celebrate, but we want to support men's mental health all year round. But June is Men's Mental Health Month. Um, and then statistics wise, um, the National Institute of Mental Health says that mental health conditions are more common um, in women than men, but it may be because men aren't open to like reaching out for help and talking about their problems, while 51.7% of women with mental health conditions in like 2021 received support from their mental health services, and only 40% of men with a mental health condition did. Not only that, but the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention says that suicide rate among males in 2021 was around 4 times higher than suicide rates among females. The organization also says men make up of almost 80% of all suicides. And that's crazy.
it is because it says that men are 4 times more likely to die by suicide than a woman.
Yeah.
It's just insane. It really is. Like I was talking to my wife about it, and her thought process is that men need to have the macho persona of they don't have their feelings and kind of thing. I'm like, and I'm not mad that that's how she feels. That's just how she was raised like that. Like you can't sit there and discredit her feelings because that's the way everything is.
Well, like you're not discrediting her feelings, but you can definitely re-educate her and try to help change her way of thinking, because I mean, men, you're human, and men have feelings and emotions too. So I mean, I was raised so crazily, but my mom and dad worked for a lot of mental health services. So, and my mom stayed in mental health services her whole life, 36 years as a mental health professional. I did mental health for 9 years um, as a mental health professional. And so, like, I know that it's harder for men to open up because of that stigma where it's like, oh, you got to be macho, blah, 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 all that crap. But, like, the world has changed a lot, and whereas, like, your partner or your friends might have been raised with that mindset, doesn't mean that they're right.
Oh, she supports my mental health thing all way because that I do. You all know exactly what I deal with on a daily basis. In no way does she ever discredit what I'm feeling or how I am. She just has her own perception of how things are based on her own experiences. I'm not going to go into her stuff, but because I don't know if she's okay with me sharing that, so we're not going to go down that road. But she supports me talking to somebody now because it's gotten to the point where it's pretty bad. Like they're telling me I need a safety plan, which Buzz already knows what that means. I had to be educated on what that means because I didn't even know that it was even a thing.
Yeah, and it is statistically, when your partner, spouse, or friend has suffered some domestic violence or abuse from a male counterpart, whether it be another spouse, family member, friend, or just random person, it's harder for women to talk with men about that have been through that with men about their feelings of if they're having a hard time. I can understand that, but again, that's just something that overall two people would need to work with. But I can get that.
Okay, okay. Enough is enough. First of all, it's not hard for women to talk to men about a man's mental health. 90% of women don't care because as
Ooh.
soon as the man shows emotions about how he's feeling, let's say something you say he takes the wrong way, or he's thinking you're meaning something else, because women are never clear about what they mean whatsoever, and that's case in point.
I second that.
Two,
Well.
two. No, let me finish.
Mm-hmm.
Two, once a man shows emotions, then there goes that that alpha male crap. So then it's like, oh well, he's in his emotions. He's not man enough. So then that's when women start losing respect for men because they gave into their emotions. But then they're like, well, I wish you were more sensitive. So it's really a lose lose situation for men, regardless. There's no middle ground. Now, I'm
Yeah.
not saying all women are like that,
Yeah. And I would
but
say I would
majority of
agree.
women are like that.
I would agree with what you're saying, and it majority of the women, they do that. They the minute a man shows emotion or vulnerability, they're kind of like, what's that? Which is awful, because they expect their male counterpart or spouse or whoever to be able to help them, like them to be able to talk to them about their stuff and open up, but they don't reciprocate it. And I totally agree, and that's the problem with our society, that we still have so many people like that. Like, I see it on TikTok all the time where it's like, my husband does X, Y, and Z, and he's the head of the house, and blah blah blah. We don't talk about feelings. Like, that's stupid. That's stupid. Like,
Hmm.
communication and being able to talk to your spouse and all that, that's like an important key to a good marriage and like a good healthy relationship.
Well, that's because they don't believe in it. Because
It could be how
like
they were
for
taught too.
well, it's like for my example, my father. Well, this goes back to Father's Day stuff. My father was a military man. In the military, you're not allowed to be emotional. Also, he was raised in an orphanage. So, yet again, not allowed emotions. If you showed any sign of weakness, you were done. So, as an adult, all that stuff was just built into his brain. So, if you're never raised around a father who has showed their kids love, compassion, emotions, most 9 times out of 10, that child is not going to grow up to know any of that stuff because they were never around it.
Right. They're just going to suppress their emotions like their father did as well.
So, like with me, I'm not really an emotional person. I have a resting bitch face. I can't help it. It's just there. I look like I'm mean, but I'm not. But I mean, I think that's the majority of most guys, period, because there's a lot of things that, we go on through our daily through through the day that we don't know, like, okay, if I tell so and so this is how I'm feeling, like, are they gonna look at me as a broken record? Are they gonna be like, oh my gosh, shut up, everybody has problems? Like, you don't know how people are gonna take you when you talk to them about stuff. So nine times
Exactly.
out of ten, nine times rather just like
Oh, you're breaking up.
what they're dealing with, then it's like, well, I'm burying myself because I started this conversation by bringing this up to begin with. Because they asked me to open up, I opened up. Now I'm suffering for it.
Exactly. Yeah.
This wouldn't
Not
be
to cut you
happening.
out there, man. Hey, listen, real quick. When you say that, I agree because that's how I felt too. But more, I felt like I was worried to open up because, like, I'm having these thoughts, and if I tell her these thoughts, how is she going to look at me? Just like you said, like now I'm telling you everything, and now you're looking at me like I'm the crazy person.
Yeah. How do you guys what do you guys think needs to change in society to help change that stigmata or to better help men cope
Well,
with
on the note
expressing their
of
emotions?
men's mental health, by the way, I need to talk about something really fast that had happened recently. There's a guy on TikTok named Swa the Gentleman. This guy literally had 200 comments asking him if he takes it in the ass. Like, literally, guys, that's the first problem with society. We need to stop stereotyping people in general. Like, if they're gay, they're gay. What does it matter to you? Like, they were so concerned with this dude's question of if he was gay or not that they just asked him 200 times. And he's like, to the point, he's like, I'm just done. I can't do this anymore. And that's the sad part about it. Like, his videos are great, they're funny all the time. But when you start attacking a dude like that, his mental health gets affected big time. And I already asked Swab about this. He told me and him had a private conversation about this whole thing. And it's just like he said he's not really like discouraged. He's just getting frustrated because he has the challenge, has people challenging his heterosexuality over some guy's comment trolling him, and then then it goes to that, and then it's like he deals with a lot of stuff too though because he posts about it, says, "Oh, I'm not doing good mentally today. I'm not going to make any content." Da, 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 things like that, and it's crazy, man. Like the internet is so fucking bad now with the way people are able to get to people, man. I think it's what's making it even worse.
Yeah. I
Okay,
yeah.
so shout out, Swell. Love you, man.
I'm about to say, that's what I was going to say, because, you asked what needs to change. In all reality, what needs to change is everybody out there. No offense to anybody who's listening or even the people that are here right now. Everybody's a piece of shit. Straight to the point. Because in all honesty, you know how you go to the whole, well, if I say something to my spouse about how I feel, like something they said made you feel lower, and you're like, you know what? Well, I should talk to this person about this problem. Instead of it continuing, you want to talk to them. Well, you talk to them, and then just like other guys, they, like, oh, well, your man's just being a sissy, or your man is just being vulnerable. So then that's when they sneak in. So then that's when that crap turns even 10 times worse. Because literally out there in this world, everybody's out there to destroy everybody else's lives in one shape, way, or form.
Right, everybody's out there for themselves.
And that's the bad part. Like, a husband could be like, you know what, something you said to me last month really affected me. And then she's thinking about it. So she's talking to her girlfriends about it. And her girlfriend's like, oh, well, my husband wouldn't do that. You're not dating a man, you're dating a little boy. So then, especially when you have all of these women drilling this into her head, instead of her talking to her partner and how she felt about the conversation, she don't want to talk to him about it. She wants to keep it to herself, just like she's complaining about that he's doing. But instead of just keeping it to herself and keeping it between A and B, she's opening up to her mom, her dad, her friends' friends, some guy friend of hers who's been trying to scout in for years. And then that's when everything gets turned around and it looks like he's solo. And when he finds out about all this, it looks like, okay, you got numero uno against a field of 20 people, which makes that guy's mental health 10 times worse because it's like, well, this wouldn't be happening if I had just kept my mouth shut and didn't say anything to begin with.
Yeah, see, me and Swat's conversation, he told me that someone told him he should respond back to these people for followers or whatever, and he's like, no, I'm not going to give up my mental health for someone else's entertainment. Fuck that shit. I agree with him. It's ridiculous, man. It's crazy. Like, these guys come out there, start attacking people, and then it's like, then you have to defend yourself. Oh, I'm gay, or am I gay or not? It's like, what does it matter? Honestly, like, what does it matter? It's the dumbest shit ever.
Right. And
Like, you're attacking people over nothing.
Yeah, and statistically, men in the LGBTQ plus are more likely to have other mental health conditions and suffer from mental health conditions because other than their straight or cis counterparts, while adults with disabilities also have like 5 times likely to have more frequent mental health distress than adults without disabilities. So, I mean, this guy, we already know because we talked about it, he's not even gay, but imagine if he was and they're just like harassing him and like all the people that go through that. It's like, the constant cyberbullying and just being in people's business, because it's not like he's out there sharing his business. He's just, what was he doing in the video? He was like doing nothing, like playing a game or something.
It was I don't even remember what the original video was. It's just a video in general, and then someone commented, do you take it in the butt? And he mentioned the guy by name. Let me.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Like, it could be like
the guy for you. I'm not sure what the guy's name was exactly. I'll have to look it up though. I know that he had told me about it though. He was like, yeah, one person commented, and then everybody started jumping on it, and then 200 comments later, and it's like, God damn, man, are you kidding me? It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I wanna touch base back on OG's thing where he said like women talking to other women about their men opening up or their men's mental problems and them being like, oh, well, my husband would never do that. Well, you don't have good communication with your husband, because the right thing to be able to do is to be there for your partner in any way, shape, and form, mentally, physically, emotionally, if they need it. So for you to go to your wife about something is good. For her, it's okay for her to go talk about it to somebody else if she's trying to figure out, but she also should be talking to you. Be like, I don't understand what you're going through. Can you explain it to me more? Like, and go deeper into the conversation of what you guys are talking about, And that is a communication problem. And I feel 9 out of 10 of the times too, a lot of the problems with this is spouses and family and friends having lack of communication, just basic communication between each other. But yeah, those girlfriends are like, those are the toxic. Those are the ones that are wrong in the world. They're the toxic ones.
Let's see. Based off what you're talking about, if you notice, this OG may get canceled for this, but I'm just saying, if you notice, 9 times out of 10, women.
Yeah. I heard women, and you went blank.
You've been having trouble. You mentioned that when we lose him, sometimes it's his tablet.
It makes no sense. It's like,
you gotta repeat that. You gotta repeat
back. We only heard woman, and then you cut out, but you gotta have to repeat what you're saying.
Okay. What I was saying was, 9 times out of 10, the women that that their friends that they go to are single women. They're either single, they're divorced, or
they're in a bad marriage.
Yeah, or they're telling you, oh, you need to leave your spouse. You need to do this. You need to do that. You need to be free like me. Like, why are you setting your friend up for failure? First of all, and then second of all, I ain't trying to be mean. There's obviously a reason why you're single. I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm just saying that you took advice from somebody else probably, and this is the reason why you're in that situation.
Yeah,
B, get out.
I agree.
Take the dog with you.
I agree, but I think that the idea is that you're going to a friend to tell them something, to hope that they understand what you're saying. But sometimes, some people are just not the ones to talk to about certain subjects, especially that, because the whole view of men should be masculine and everything else, and we're not supposed to have feelings. We're supposed to be so macho, this and that. That whole bullheaded mentality, alpha male shit. It's ridiculous. But it's crazy, man. He's not wrong though. It's like that's why a lot of guys don't talk about their feelings, because we're perceived to be this alpha male type. We're supposed to be all big and strong. And I had a situation similar because I started breaking down eventually. And the comment that was made to me is, "Well, you were so strong in the beginning." Well, yeah, I was so strong in the beginning, but after so long, it's like you can only take so much until shit gets out of hand, and then there's a problem presented, and I got to deal with the problem versus trying to ignore the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just crazy, man. Like I did a little research too, by the way. Did you know that 45 to 55 is the second highest group of suicides from 2001 to 2021? 45 to 54. And above that is 75. Okay, well, that's a little different. But the weirdest thing was the run right below it was 65 to 74. Okay,
Wow.
followed by 15 to 24 range. And then lastly, 10 to 14. And this is based just off 2001 to 2021, just to give you an idea. But that's insane. Like, I'm close to that range of where the highest amount besides 75 is at. And it's like, I don't know. I was trying to find some updated numbers, but I'm sure it'll be very interesting to see. But it's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
What I
Like,
feel like this world needs is people who actually want to be there for other people and
exactly.
not destroy other people's lives.
Exactly, man. Listen.
I have a best friend. Anytime I need any advice, I mean, he's the one that motivated me to ever want to even start my family.
Yeah.
He didn't tell me I needed to do it. I just seen the way him and his family was, and it hit me one day. I was like, you know what? I'm getting older. This is what I want. And
Yeah.
anytime I've ever came to him for advice for anything, he's never been the friend that said, "Oh no, you need to do this. You need to leave them. Oh, you need to stop doing this." He's always been neutral. Like, you know what? I hope everything works out for you. I hope everything works out in the end. Forget what everybody else says. Forget what anybody else thinks. You do what you need to do for you and your family. And that's a real friend. Not
Yeah.
someone who's wishing evil or badness or separation or hate on you. That's
My
not a
favorite thing,
friend.
dude, real quick, OG, my thing, too, is like they'll defend that friend too. Like, oh, she's such a good friend. But is she really a good friend? Think about what message she's telling you before you start telling me, oh, she's such a good friend.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, think about what your friends that you go to talk about stuff that you're either struggling with or your partner's struggling with and you're struggling to comprehend with. Think about what those people are saying to you, because some of these people are not your friends. They are toxic snakes that are you have allowed in your life that are there just to cause and wreak havoc. So you
Well, a lot of them are
really
codependent, too.
people
Keep that
need,
in mind as well.
yeah. And that's women to women, women to men to men to women on all
See,
sides. Because then you got the
whenever
men.
it's just go on.
Because then you have the men that are like, "Man, you need to suck it up, bro. Like, toughen up. You're being a pussy." Like, then you got those people with that mentality that you've tried to reach out to talk to, and they've turned you away, and they're saying this.
Yeah.
So the only time I ever feel like anyway you should leave the situation is if you're being like abused or something like that, that is understandable. But if it's a just a situation between you and your spouse, I don't believe if your spouse, that you should just walk away just because things get tough. I don't believe in
Agreed. Agreed. And on that note, though, I did leave one
and
because after 15
oh,
years, man, I told you this in private, though, man, that I got mentally abused for a while, bro. She fucked me up, like gaslighted me and everything else. Had me so stressed, I couldn't even think straight. Like, it was bad. And then,
that's what I
I
mean. And I don't believe in 2 weeks later after you get married to somebody, oh, let's get a divorce. Like
yeah,
what? No. Why did we waste each other's time to begin with?
exactly. I feel like that's another thing too. Too many people rush into things instead of knowing exactly if they're ready for it or not. Because it's a work in progress, man. Like you don't know that person long enough. Like how do you know you really know them?
Yeah.
Because once you get married, that's it. You guys are tied together until you get divorced, and it just doesn't work that way. You can't just next day I just want to know this thing. I'm good.
This is why like I'm like a very very pro living with somebody before you get married, because once you have been with them for like a year or so and then you live with each other, you like really start to see the real side of them. And if you're having issues then and you're having issues with communication and getting along and just living and you're not talking about it, it's just going to make it worse. And then you get married and then you're like, they're like the people that they're together for 5 years, then they get married and then they're divorced in 2 weeks. Well, why you were together for 5 years, you should know how to communicate by now. Why would you get married and then just give up?
Exactly. You
Because
went to all that effort, did all that.
some people believe just because they were together for 5 years that they should just get married.
Right, and that's not a reason to get married either. And that's again goes it all really aligns back to communication with your spouse, with your partner, on your feelings and
But
stuff.
see, also on the women's side, I'm not saying this is a women basking session, but
Mhm.
women and men. If you allow your man to disrespect you in your relationship, and it just continues on and continues on, continues on, then of course you're just gonna, after the 5 years, you're just gonna accept it. Like, well, this is the best I can do. This is the best it's ever gonna be. Same thing for the
Because
guy side. If the
yeah,
guy allows the women to disrespect him and he just puts up with it, yeah, he's putting up with it because he cares about her and he doesn't, want to fight. But then, just like what Pete said, it'll build up and build up and build up and build up, and finally you'll snap.
yeah.
And then you bring up shit. Oh, I remember 7 years ago on the corner of the street over there, you spilled my lemonade and didn't even say sorry. Like, what? What are you talking about?
Oh my
Right.
god,
And
you're
that
Like
putting it in
you,
my
that's
like,
head
when
right now.
you're gonna bring up stuff 10 years ago that happened when you were teenagers. Like, man, you ate the last candy bar. Like, what? I want a divorce. I hate you. Like, what?
right,
Whoa.
that they're harboring things for years instead of talking about it on both ends. It could be the men or the woman. Like you guys know, like
Exactly.
I come to Pete or I come to Bachelor OG like a lot sometimes where I'm like, it's not so much that I'm venting about problems with me and my significant other as much as like this is what kind of upset me. I'm gonna talk to him about it, but I want to make sure I word it right. So I like go to you guys like this is how I feel, this is what happened. I'm gonna say something to him, but I want to make sure I'm wording it right and I'm not overreacting and I don't want to harbor things for too long and then be upset for no reason.
And I
Oh, by
think
the
that's a problem with this society is people ignore problems and they think if they ignore it long enough, it will go away. And it never does.
Hi
It
coach.
just builds. It just builds and builds and builds and builds.
Yep. And that was something that Mike had learned in his last marriage, that his ex-wife was like holding on to stuff and not communicating to him and just like exploding on him. But he was kind of like he was kind of the same way, and like he worked a lot with himself when they had split up on like healing things with him within himself and then being a better communicator as well. obviously, they do great co-parenting. Obviously, their marriage did not work because then he's with me. But like, there was just like a lot that he taught me about myself, like stuff that he was talking about about his ex. I was like, you know what? Because women, I know we're doing a men thing, but some women, like for me at least how I was raised, is like you're not supposed to get emotional around your guys too much, or at least how I've been with my partners is that if I was to get emotional for anything and getting upset or saying that I'm upset about stuff, it was you're crazy, you're overreacting.
Listen, real fast. Coach, by the way, I seen what you said. Couples counseling, usually, like I said, a lot of people are too afraid to admit they need help, and they're too proud of that. And you're not wrong. It is a must most times, man. If you want to come up here, you can come up here and say some stuff if you want. If you got anything you want to add to the conversation, go right ahead.
Yeah.
I agree, man. It's a must at times, but most people are afraid to do therapy because they feel like they're getting looked at in a weird way, like, oh, you're crazy because you're talking to somebody. Guys, listen to me as I tell you right now. Don't be afraid. If you feel like you need help, talk to somebody. Go find that help you need, because you can never be too proud to worry about your own mental sanity.
Right, but I feel it's like a three-way street here, though. With most, and I this might just because of my background in mental health.
Say it again.
A three-way street, just because I think it's from my background in mental health. It's you need couples counseling together, your own counseling separate from that counseling, and your partner's own counseling separate from that counseling, and then your couples therapy. So you got 3 therapy sessions. You got 2 private and a couple, and it could be with different therapists. They don't have to be all the same therapists, but I think that works the best for couples when they're in therapy.
How long? It also depends on the homework.
Hey, Coach, how you doing, by the way? Sorry.
Oh no, how are you guys doing, by the way?
Good.
Great, man.
Good. I would like to add on to what you were saying. I also do believe that when it comes to couples counseling, it does depend on what type of homework that they give you, and you have to do the homework while you're at home. Like, you have to practice it, because when you start doing that, you'll start knowing where you messed up in your past and what you can fix now. And that's what couple counseling is all about. Like, you got to leave the past as the past. Shut that door. You got to burn it.
Yep.
True.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's right. No, but a lot of couples, they go to the counseling and it's either both or one of them sitting there just being resentful about the whole thing, and they don't do the homework. Because they give you homework. They give you things to think about, to consider about your partner on like situations that might arise and how you have to deal with it, and they don't want to do the work. Even if it's especially when it comes to self-reflection. That's why I say that 3-way. You get the guy into the therapist with his own therapist. You get the girl into a therapist, girl, guy, whatever the situation is. Everybody has their own therapist, and you do the couples therapy, because it's not just one person's fault. Like, everybody has to take accountability.
Yeah, that's the problem. A lot of people don't
take
accountability.
110%. 100%.
And I believe that, just like what Coach said, if a relationship fails or isn't in a rough patch or whatever, you have to look at yourself on what you did
Say that again?
for your partner. You have to realize what you did for your partner to have felt the way they felt. Because when you guys first started out, and even years, it wasn't like that. Something happened. In some situations, people get comfortable, or they ignore the relationship, or they don't put as much effort into the relationship like they once did. Because life does happen. The work, kids, relatives, people die. I mean, these things happen, and it affects everybody.
Yeah. You got to know how should I say, all couples need to know where they're saying. I'm not kidding, there is such as a saying, like, and what you messed up on.
Coach, we lost you for a second there.
Oh, can you hear me?
We lost you for a second, Coach. You might want to restart that a little bit.
Oh, copy that.
You were talking about safe
Yeah.
space, and then we lost you for a minute.
Oh, okay. Okay. In couples, there is such thing for couples to have a safe space. There is. And that's where you get to reflect on things. Like what's her name was saying? Buzz, right? Buzz said
Yeah,
that.
that's
Like,
most.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you got to learn. Yeah, that's your learning space too. It's not just. It's not really. It's not just a learning space, but it's both. So you could learn on where you messed up. Like mine is the shower. You know, shower, and I think about the past where I messed up. Fix it tomorrow. And that's that. That's easy. Like I've been doing it for years now. But yeah, everybody has their safe space.
I do have
Learning.
this so this like just little trigger words, not triggering me in a bad way, but just like perking me up, light bulbing me and perking me up to think. So as Vash and OG know, I'm part of the BDSM community as well, and there is a lot of safe space stuff and communication and between a dom and their sub. And with what I've noticed though with guys, at least the ones that I've come across with in the community and like with my partner right now, like he's good on talking about his emotions and stuff like that. And we do have like I have my own sub space to like process things, just either after a session or just in general with life and everything like that. And then I have my people I can reach out to like OG and Vash to talk about things and everything. But you would think there's more of that stigmata in that lifestyle with the guys not being open to communication and talking about their feelings, when actually I feel like that community is even better at communicating their feelings and talking about stuff, because a lot of people in that community, both the men and female, they come from a lot of background of trauma and stuff, and this is how they process their trauma. It's reflected in this lifestyle, and it's kind of like their way of working out and their therapy for it and stuff. But also, just like on a side note, on a regular normal person thing, I have like 3 journals. I tell, because like my boyfriend's daughter came over, she's like, why do you have all these journals? I have 3 journals. I have my Death Eater journal. That's where all my negative thoughts about myself or feelings or just when I'm having a depressive episode, I write in that journal all the negative stuff. Then I have like my journal that's like my goal journal, and like I have like my happy type of stuff and like my goals for myself that I can like reflect back to and check in on, right? And then I have like the regular like day to day just filling out type of stuff, maybe a little bit negative, a little positive. But my really negative bad thoughts, like if I am dealing with like I feel like I want to hurt myself and stuff like that, like the one thing I do is I write it out into this journal, and it's kind of like left me then. Like I've kind of like released that mentality, that feeling, that energy, and I feel better after doing it. But that's another coping mechanism, which a lot of therapists tell people to use as well, that men can do, women can do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that works.
It works totally.
What do you guys feel is the biggest expectation that you or men struggle with?
Biggest what?
Expectation.
Of what?
Of men. She's asking, what's the biggest expectation that people put on us as men that we have trouble dealing with? I'm telling you, I think I still stick with the alpha male thing. I think it's crazy that they want you to be the alpha male, because like I told you, my wife's point of view was that I need to be the strong one. I can't have emotions. I'm not allowed because I'm a man. I have to be the Lord, king of the jungle type thing, and that's how it should be. And I'm like, that's not how it works these days, unfortunately.
That's true.
Right.
Too many of us are, and like I said, men are 4 times more likely to die by suicide than women. There's a problem there. And I think that it's an issue that we're not addressing enough, and that's the issue, is that we're supposed to feel macho, but, if we need help, how are we going to ask you for help or tell you we need help if that's how you perceive us to be, is we have to be the super strong macho Superman and we can't tell you about our feelings if something bothers us and things like that. It just makes no sense. It's ridiculous. Everybody talks about they want equality, so then where's our equality for that? Because y'all want to be equal to us, and then we should be able to talk about our feelings equally and tell you if there's an issue. We shouldn't be left to be held to these stereotypical, be the alpha male. Oh, you got to be macho. Oh, bro, this, bro, that. No, it's not how it works these days.
Well, I understand about these days. I do understand that, but I do still have an input on that one.
Go right ahead, coach.
I I get that all the time too, but I get it from everybody else. Like I don't get it. I don't get that from my wife, but I get it from my mom and I get it from my sister. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, just take care of the family. You're the leader. And I kind of sit there and I go, okay, if I'm the leader, how should and then I just start thinking about all the books that I read and all the shows I used to watch. A leader has to be understanding. And like number one, that's literally number one. So that's communication. So, all right, I'll it's like, that one saying, be the bigger man.
Yep.
So it's like, damn, like that kind of gets into my head now. And I understand what they mean now. It's like, all right, if I'm at this leadership standpoint, I have to understand everybody. I have to understand what's going on in the household. I got to understand what's going on the outside of the household. But then then you're going everywhere after that. Yeah, you'll lose track of where you're at sometimes. But that's only sometimes if you practice it, you know what I mean?
Yep.
It is hard. It is hard.
But see, even because as a leader, like you should, you need to know what's going on in the household and with and outside the household and stuff like that, and everything. But I still feel as a leader, even though people are putting that stigmata on, like, well, then you're emotionless, you still can have emotions and still need to comprehend and break down and discuss what people are going through and what you're going through with them. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, pretty much. But you want to do that with your partner only, yeah.
Right, you can do it with your partner.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But you want to do that mainly with your partner. I understand if they're gonna lash back, but that's where you gotta like put your hand out, like you put your hand out and like hand out like stop, please stop, and you gotta say please wait, I'm not finished. Like please hear me out. When you say it, like if you say it calm, constructive, everything starts like breaking down a little bit easier when you have a calm voice. Like I ain't lying. I started doing calm things with my wife. I'm like, hey, wait, relax. Like, you didn't let me finish. You just jumped in and you kind of shat on everything that I said instead of just like listening. Like, I got to listen to you, right? And then she was like, and then she went like this. Oh shit! Like she knew she fucked up.
Right.
Of course, she gave me that face, like a fuck you face. But I love that. Like I love that because I start saying that she's seeing what I see. So it's on both. It's on both sides.
Yeah.
It's on both. Like when it comes to couples.
But even as like so like OG, like you have sons, and like Vash, you mostly you have all daughters, but you for like with a son, I think if more fathers process their emotions with their son, like when their sons are having issues and stuff, because I think a lot of time some of the problems are you have either the women are left to set up to raise the boys, and for some women will coddle them and let them express their emotions and stuff, and then they get bullied for that. Or you have like a very overstricted father who tells them to suppress their emotion, but then they have a loving, caring mother that's telling them to express their emotions. So they have like one person telling them, no, you got to suck it up. The other person being like, no, it's okay. You can be vulnerable. And that causes a clash of stuff. or vice versa, where you have like the strict crazy mom but the loving nurturous dad. But the problem is like that father figure or that lead still needs to, it not needs to, but like they should be able to guide their kids. And I think another problem is that, and I know OG might say something after this, but we said this before, a lot of the times, because we talked about this with the Father Day special, is that the father is absent in children's lives. Unfortunately, that's like a high statistic that is happening. So then you have men being raised that don't have anybody to process another male in their life to process their feelings with. So they do suppress a lot of their feelings.
My dad was never around as a kid much either, so I can relate to that 100%. He was always working overnight, so I hardly ever saw him.
Wow.
I think one of the main good points for anybody listening or that listens to this is to, talk to the men in your lives and check on them and see if they're okay. Talk to your spouses, talk to your children, your uncles, your cousins, your brothers, your friends, and check in on them, make sure they're doing okay, that they have somebody to talk to, and let them know, like, hey, if you're willing to only, though, if you're willing to, like I tell OG and Vash, if you need me, call me. Hopefully I'll answer the phone if I'm not dead asleep, but like I will try to be there for you, and we can talk through things if they're having a bad time or talk through stuff. But I think, if more guys would do that for guys or for their kids or stepkids or cousins, brothers, uncles, fathers, that will make it even better if we can crush that stigma so that they feel comfortable with opening up. Or sometimes it just takes you to turn around. Like now, like let's say like you're 38 now, your father's 65, and you never really had that, but you're processing your own emotions and having problems, and you want to talk to your dad about it. It's just, checking in on your dad, like, hey, how are things going? I just want to talk to you about this. And either the best thing you can do is either you at least tried and talked to them about it if they're closed off and still in that thing where they're like, oh, we're men, we don't talk about our emotions, suck it up, boys, stop being a pussy, like stuff like that. At least you tried. But it also might plant a seed in their head, like, hey, you know what, if your father is having a hard time, hey, I'm having a hard time dealing with adjusting, aging out, retirement, whatever, family stress, bills and everything. And my son we're going to talk together about it and work through it.
I feel like that's too much of that TV show dad crap right there. No offense, because like not everybody's dad's like that. Like OG's dad's military. He ain't talking to him about nothing like that. He can be presenting him telling, listen, you better buck up, son. Get it together. My dad was never around either, and I never could talk to him about anything because he was always so angry because he was either asleep or he was working. And the only time I really had any interactions when I had to ask him something, I had to wake him up out of dead asleep to ask him a question. Other than that, we were pretty much left to do whatever we wanted to do because my mom worked during the day and he worked nights, so I didn't see him much at all. So,
see, my father, my father never said the words "I love you" to me when I was a child.
I believe that.
When I was a kid, for one, I didn't even know he was my dad. That's the sad part. I was like, who's this guy that's in the house with us every day? He just shows up every day at 6:00. Like, who's this man? So I asked my mom one day, like, Mom, who's that guy? And she goes, that's your dad. I was like, oh, I didn't know that was my dad. So I asked him one day, I was like, hey, Dad, do you love me? And he was like, yeah, sure. And he just brushed me away. So, I mean, growing up with that, a lot of people take that negatively. And I just took it as like, you know what? I don't like how this made me feel. So when I have children one day, I'm going to let my sons know, hey, I love you. My daughters know, hey, I love you. But also in the same aspect, show them like, hey, it's okay to be in your emotions sometimes, but you can't stay there. Which is, it's a lot easier said than done to do that. But I'm trying.
Right. And it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't have that type of change and process. It doesn't happen overnight. And just because you're like, oh, I'm not going to face that and think about this one thing doesn't mean it's not going to creep up on you later. But didn't you say before, like on the Father's Day episode too, like he would always give your mom money, you guys would go do stuff, and like you all thought it was your mom always paying for stuff because he'd be like, don't tell the kids.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
and
he really had nothing to do with this.
like my thing is like I feel so on reverse on that, not really that situation. Like you'll see a lot of people like negatively commenting on when like dads do stuff like they film like on TikTok, like they took the kids here, they did that, or what they bought the kids and this and that, and how much they're supporting their family. And people are like, oh, you're showboating. Like, no, let him go ahead and show that his support for his kids and be in his kids' life, because not that support as like he's just went out and bought them. Like they're going to do things and having memories together and stuff, and he's sharing that with people, and people are taking negatively and stuff like, and some of that's women taking it negatively, and y'all need to like chill with that, because a lot of times you have people like OG's dad who just in silence have been supporting the family and getting them, and they're not getting any credit for that part. Like obviously there was some emotional disconnect and he wasn't there, but he kept a roof over your head, food in your belly, and when you guys wanted to do stuff, he gave you all extra money so you could go do stuff and hang out and da 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 da. And the mom got all the credit, the dad didn't. And I think
But
that
see,
needs to switch.
on that same aspect, just like we have a person that's listening. When my father, and I said this last week, so I just going to repeat it. When my father passed away back in 2020, I didn't shed a tear because there was too long of a disconnect between me and him. Now, our relationship got better as the years went by, and I'm grateful for that. But even to this day, when things happen to me, I think back to those little things that he would say to me as a child. Like me showing emotions as a child, my dad would come up to me saying, "Stop being a pussy." And you don't tell that to a 7-year-old. A 7-year-old doesn't know what that means,
Yeah.
especially when your father's in his 60s and you're like, "Okay, what are you saying to me?" So then you ask your mother, "Hey, dad just said this to me. What does that mean?" So then, because you don't know what it means, so then your mom gets mad at him, and then a fight happens, and then you get blamed for it. But you're like, I'm not trying to start a fight. I'm trying to understand what was just said to me.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
you just called me something. I don't know what you said.
Yeah.
So like to this day, when certain things happen to me, like those flashbacks just still come in my head, and I go to therapy now to deal with those emotions, and then not realizing part of me still doesn't understand like why do I hold on to so much anger and aggression over something that happened over 25 years ago.
I hear that
But
one, bud.
it's just something I deal with on a daily basis. It's just something I have to deal with, and I've talked to my therapist about it. I understand why my father was the way he was because he didn't have a father either. He was
Yeah.
put in an orphanage. He didn't have parents to show him that love and care, and I understand why he was the way he was. But is it an excuse for why he was the way he was? No, but I don't hate him for why he was the way he was.
All
I
right.
understand it, but it still kind of affects me to this
Yeah.
day. But
Yeah.
it affects me in a positive way where you know what, that's what happened to me, and I'm not going to allow that to happen to my son.
Right.
Understood. Understood. Oh, yeah. Hey, for a therapeutic thing, because I understand you were going kind of deep in, deep in your deep end. Like I'm not to add on to that, but to fix it, should I say? To fix it, how should I say? You're looking at certain words that are, and you're still holding on to negative, right? You just said the
Mm-hmm.
magic key word. You just said the magic key word that, and it's crazy because you're going to be too stubborn to actually get away from it. That's why you go to therapy. But instead of being that stubborn, and I guarantee a therapist has told you this, why don't you pick up on the funniest shit? The funniest that you see as funny between you and your father, because then that'll fix what you're feeling today. What, like, did you pick up on anything? Like, because that's what I gotta do too. Like, I gotta pick up on that. Like, and I've learned from books, the Bible, and from other experiences. You ever heard the essay, Choose Your Pros and Cons?
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you really want to follow the cons? No. You're gonna try to find the pros more, right? You're gonna try to find the
Right.
pros that you both come together in. You know the circle. You know those circles that what do you call it? While brainstorming,
Uh-huh.
two different subjects, right? And where the two subjects meet in the middle, because that's where the circles meet.
Yeah.
That's between you and your father. What do you both actually connect to, to actually get rid of all your past, to get rid of that negativity that you're feeling? And that's what I kind of hold on to. That's what I hold on to. So everything that I'm doing, even if I make a mistake, that's what I'm going to hold on to for the rest of my life. I'm going to make sure that my child and so on and so forth could pick up from that.
Right.
Mhm.
And then like I get that, and like with the like OG, like it's what like I feel like Coach is saying is like you gotta remember, try to remember good times and positive influences or memories you have with your dad. But however, you can remember the negative, but try not to get it too try not to focus on it too much.
Don't feed it.
And don't feed into
Oh
it.
no! I
But
don't
I know that
anymore.
you're using it for a better
This is how
thing.
it was. This is how it was like after he had died.
Yeah,
Right.
Because
And then,
after he had died, we had a good 10 years of a good relationship where he just come over to the house. He would just text me, "Hey, I miss you," and I would go see him, and we would sit there and
yeah,
talk. We didn't talk about the stuff, but one time he was really sick, and I had told him, I was like, "Dad, you did some things that I didn't like, and I want you to know, whether you know it or not, whether you want to hear this or not, I forgive you for what you did. I forgive
yeah,
you for everything, because the last 20 years don't mean nothing. These past 10 years have meant more to me than anything else."
yeah. Okay,
that's
okay.
good. And
That's good.
that's good that you
That's
were able
amazing.
to do that. Yeah.
That's 110% there. That's good. Fucking, I give you the gold medal now. I'm giving you the gold medal.
So, like,
I
when my father passed away, my mom was very angry, and she was like, trash talking my father, and it was out of character for me. I understand people grieve a certain way, and I was like, "Whoa, you can disrespect dad all you want, but you're not going to do it in my presence." And I've
Yeah,
never stood up for my dad. So I was like, "Whoa. He's not here to defend himself. So
yeah,
I'm going to have to defend him for him."
yeah.
Yeah, don't
Like,
speak ill of the dead.
he was the way he was. I was like, "But you stayed married to him for the past 30 something years. So obviously you didn't have that much of a problem with it.
Yeah.
So,
You were
so don't,
laughing. I know you
so
were
don't
laughing
blame
at your
him
mom.
now."
I know you were laughing at your mom while you were saying this shit too.
Yeah, so I mean,
Oh,
and it was mainly because she was grieving. She didn't know how to grieve, and it's
yeah,
understandable.
yeah.
Right.
When he passed away, he was
Men's health,
80
man.
something, and she was 76, and it
But
just happened out of nowhere. So
Yeah,
you know what, Noah? You telling her that though helps her, because
it does.
she was grieving she was grieving in a way that she didn't know, and she was focusing on the negative, and you helped her move away from that by, even though if she might not did it immediately, I'm telling you, plant that seed to help her move away from that and not focus on negative stuff, and just try to um, grieve and move on, and try to focus and get more positive.
mhm.
I'm gonna sound like the asshole here, but when my mom passes, I don't think I'm gonna have shed a single tear of emotion. That woman traumatized me when I was 11. And I don't think I'll ever forgive her. That's why I do it now. I deal with the fact that when I was 11, she abandoned me in front of my dad's apartment. He was at work an hour away, And I've never forgiven her for it. And I don't think I'll ever forgive her because it's the reason I hold so many grudges against people a lot of times. And I feel like, that's what I'm just now getting into therapy about, knowing how to handle it because it's got such a hold on me that I get so mad when I'm having a discussion with my wife. And she could be the calmest person in this conversation, dude, but I just get fired up for no reason. I just start going off the rails, getting loud, doing all these things I don't like to do. And it's becoming a problem now at this point. It's an issue because now I've got to go fix myself because for whatever reason, just like OG was saying, I was fixated on this shit for a long time, but I'm really fixated. When I tell you I'm fixated, I'm like, I think it's what's really fucking me up the worst besides that and the 15 years of mental trauma I dealt with my ex, who's a complete nutcase. Like she was, like I said, gaslighting me, everything else, and all this other shit. Like I thought I was going honestly fucking crazy at one point because I started hearing voices in the back of my head telling me I should just go take the gun, put it in my mouth, and pull the trigger, kind of thing. And it's rough. Like, and I don't think I'll ever, like I said, I don't think I'll ever forgive my mom, even though I probably should eventually, like OG was saying he was doing with his dad. I just don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it when that time comes. Honestly,
The thing is with that forgiveness,
from my experience on that is you're not, and I'm not telling you what to do. It's your battle.
I appreciate you giving me your thought on it.
But from my perspective, my forgiving my father was not for him. It was for me.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, because I was drinking a lot, I was going through so much crap, and I was always drunk because of what happened. But at the end of the day, he did not know that I was suffering for what he had done.
And
at the end of the day, I was torturing myself through drinking and staying drunk and didn't care whether I lived or died. Same thing the way you felt.
Yeah.
Maybe not the gun to the head part, but everything else, same. So it was for my mental health and it was for my sanity. No, they don't ever need to know that you forgive them, but you need to forgive them for you. For you to move past it.
Yep.
Because then you're harboring all that and it's reflecting out into your other relationships.
I really think that's what it is, honestly. Like I said, I'm just in the beginning of therapy, and my therapist is like, well, I'm going to push on you. And I told her, like, when I get pushed, I fucking push back hard. I said, let me let you know right now that when you push, I'm going to push back really hard. I don't know what it is that causes me to do it. And that's the whole reason we're here. Because the thing I do like about her, though, is she didn't, in the first 45 minutes, give it a diagnosis. She's like, I'm not going to call it anything. I'm just going to, for paperwork reasons, I'm going to call it this because I have to. She's like, I'm not giving it a characteristic just yet because I still want to dig a little further into this before. And that's the one thing I like about her versus this other person I was talking to, was that he was like 45 minutes in the conversation, instantly started telling me this. And then I started dwelling on the fact that he was telling me my depression feeds my anxiety type thing. And I'm like, I don't know if that's the whole deal. Or you're after 45 minutes, you come to that conclusion. I'm like, I don't know, man. I think we need to touch on this a little longer and see if we can figure out what the real root of the issue is. So I've already discussed it too with her in the beginning because I had my first session, when you get to know them or whatever and tell them about why you're there. And I told her, I said, my wife and my mom and my dad think that, my stepmom and my dad both think that it's has to do with the fact that my mom abandoned me when I was 11 is where a lot of my anger issues come from. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, gee, man, I was drinking a lot. Like, bro, you don't know this, but I had a very bad drinking problem with my ex. Like, it was so fucking bad. Like, those big, tall boys, I'd shotgun like 4 of them in about 15 minutes, go online and just verbally abuse anybody I could get into with on Call of Duty and shit. And it wasn't right. I admit that it wasn't right of me to do that. And I know it's not right. And I wish I could tell that person today, I'm sorry, but he won't talk to me. And I don't blame him. After what I did and what I said, oh, hell no, I wouldn't even talk to me either. It was that bad. Like, it was bad. Like, I was stressing out. I was, she was stressing me out to the point that I started thinking I'm going crazy and then gaslighting me on top of that, taking advantage of the fact I think I'm going fucking crazy. And it was just nuts. It just took one day when she ended up calling the cops on me, had them kick me out of my own fucking house when I was going to work, stole my car, stole money on my account for me to wake up and realize that this is not the place I want to be at. Like, I don't want to be this person because, it was affecting me and the kids. And like I said, and I threatened some very nasty things to the kids, and it's not their fault. And I told them already. I gave them a long conversation. Buzz, I'll send you what I said to them.
Yeah.
You're going to be real shocked what I told them, though. But I was real honest with them because they're at the age now where I feel like I could be straightforward honest with them about what I'm dealing with mentally. And I had a real conversation with them, and I don't know if one of them's ever going to answer me after I told her what I said. I mean, but I apologize for everything. I mean, it's nothing I can do about it. I can do something now versus then. I should have done something beforehand. I kept putting it off. I said, "Oh, it's not a big deal. It's not an issue. It's not a problem." But it is. It's a real fucking problem when you're getting mad at them for no reason. They're just kids. I was a single dad trying to raise all three of these girls on my own. And it's different. Girls are different than boys, man. Like, you have to have an emotion with girls versus boys because boys tend to have a tougher exterior, and girls are just real emotional. And it was just crazy. Like, I'm trying to figure out what to do in this situation, trying to do what's best for them. And then I had their mom constantly harping in on me about this and that and everything else. And she was just, and it fucked me up. Like, I'm still fucked up about it. It's just, half of them won't even speak to me. One of them talks to me. The other one doesn't even acknowledge my existence. One of them just hits me up for money, and that's pretty much how it goes right now. So, I mean, it's like, all I can say is I'm sorry to him at the end of the day. I don't know what else to say. I can't do anything else. You could say sorry so many times, but the fact that I'm trying to change and I'm in therapy now. And one of them, she, like I said, me and her have been getting closer, and she's been talking to me more because she's like, "Hey, look, he's trying to do something about the problem," because she's expressed it. And let me tell you, for a kid that's 12 years old, this little girl is fucking mature beyond ages. Like, she speaks like she's 23 at least. Like, she talks like she's seen some shit in the years, kind of thing. And it's crazy to see how your children evolve, and how smart some of these kids are. Like, people put it past, oh, they're only 12. Listen, it don't matter. Those kids are smart. Like, you don't realize how smart some of these kids are. Like we touched back on the Minecraft episode. Listen, go play Minecraft. You want to feel dumb for a minute? Go play that game, because that game there takes you some fucking time to figure that out. Let me tell you, those kids, oh, hey, I'm building a house. 10 minutes later, you come up, they have a full house, windows, and everything on this fucking thing. And you're like, what? It's crazy.
Yeah. No,
like,
what did she have that one time they had like a whole McDonald's in there?
I told you we got a McDonald's in this world and everything, too. And I'm like, I'm trying to figure this out. And I knew a lot of this shit. I'm like, no. Oh no, they made me feel stupid, because one of them, she spent a couple months and built a replica castle. It's like, these kids these days, man, it's like you can't put it just kind of past them because of their age, man, because these kids are smarter than we think, man. A lot of these guys, they have access to knowledge, and they're using that knowledge, and a lot of them are not getting enough credit for that.
Yeah. Circling back to your your problems with your mom and stuff like that, and like your trauma, and then like your abuse from your ex-wife. From being your friend for a couple of years, and talking to you about this and everything, I'm sure your therapist is going to say this too. Like, the reason why you're so quick to anger and just like argue and stuff like that, it's because you're in it's trauma-based fight or flight mode, and you're constantly in fight mode.
I think that's what it is too. Like I said, I talked to her. I have a session tomorrow with her. I do it every week. So, like I said, though, she's like, well, I'll be empathetic, but at the same time, I'm gonna come straight at you and push on you. I'm like, I'm just letting you know, though, like, I push back fucking hard.
Yeah.
Like, I was being honest. I'm like, I just want to be honest with you. If I sound like I'm getting aggressive, I'm just letting you know I push hard, because when me and my wife get into a disagreement, she could be the calmest person in the conversation, and I'm just getting aggressively pushing back for no reason, even though what she's saying makes sense 90% of the time. What's up, Sean?
Oh, just just some of the topics you guys are hitting on are just like, they're hard. They hit hard. So
they are, man. It's tough. It's tough to talk about a lot of this stuff, dude. To tell people about things, because the way you get perceived, but definitely.
Absolutely. So I'll give you guys a little backstory about my depression and everything. So my life hasn't been easy ever since I was a kid. And, like I said in the comments earlier, uh, bouncing around between my mom, my grandparents, back to my mom, grandparents, back and forth, and they were all into religion, and with me, my sexual orientation, that made it rough in itself. And so
Hey, Sean. By the way, you
Kind of
cut out when
breaking
you
it
said your
down.
sexual orientation. We lost you for a second,
sorry about
man.
that. Someone keeps trying to
No,
call
you're
me.
good, bud. We're just letting you know. We want to make sure you get your complete thought out.
Someone kept trying to call me. I apologize. Go figure. All this time sitting here.
Right.
But yeah, growing up with my sexual orientation, my grandparents, being in a very Christian lifestyle, so I'll touch on more of that next week. Um, but growing up, it wasn't easy, and then later in adulthood. So last year, speed up. Last year, July 24th, 2023, I was coming home from work, and I was crossing over the street, and I got hit by a car. And since then, my therapist even stated that my mental health in the last year has decreased. Like, there's been a couple of times ever since my accident, my depression gets so bad. I'll be honest with you, just being 100%. Like, there's times my depression gets so bad where my health will decline. Like, I will stop taking care of myself, stop taking care of my apartment, and I'll just sit in front of a video game for days on end and not give two shits. Um, and then going to work, my anxiety, my depression, everything gets so deep where it's just like I don't even care anymore. Like, there's times when I'm in a car driving, I look down the speed limit is 45 miles an hour. I'm like, I'm look up speed limit about 45 miles an hour, and I'm like, yeah, there's a telephone pole right there. All I gotta do is just turn the wheel, just slight to the right, just turn it to the right. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's like I care more about people around me than myself. Like,
So,
I've been dealing with this for a long time.
Have you recently like seen a therapist about?
Yes.
All right, did you and you said you just talked to him about you getting hit by a car, and that's kind of where it all started, right?
I've been in therapy for my mental health for the last 3 years now.
All right. Well, on you getting hit by a car, like in general, have they like how many times did they come back to it?
We talked about it here and there, but there's some times where I can't talk about it because it's more like a PTSD type thing.
yeah,
I know.
it's
Yeah.
trauma.
No. Yeah. It's well. Yeah. It is trauma. It is trauma to the fullest.
Mhm.
Should
Did
I?
they, Sean? Did they ever? Since you said that your therapist thought that your depression was brought on from the car accident, from being hit by the car, have they ever done any
Like homework.
scans, brain scans, or anything
Not
like that, or testing?
not yet, not yet.
Yeah, I would definitely get that because of that, depending, especially if you had any type of head trauma, similar to
Yeah.
like, or just being jolted with like whiplash is similar to like
Yeah.
football players with concussions and stuff. Like
Yes.
that could be a big cause
Yes.
of, yep.
N-
Besides
Now I
other things
have
you obviously dealt with growing up, but that could also be a big cause of that.
when what I do know from the accident, they did do CAT scan and everything like that because I had so the accident injury wise, I broke two ribs. I had a fractured skull and I had brain
Ooh.
bleed on the back of my head.
Yeah.
Copy.
Yeah, because even later, even years later, after or a while later, they should have did another scan. They should continue to do checkups on that because of the significance of the injuries that you had.
My bad. I was sending a tweet.
But do you when you were growing up, Sean? Did you feel you were able to like talk about your emotions or struggles with
Oh,
your mom or your grandparents?
absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not. My grandfather was basically the father figure in my life, and he was straight Vietnam era.
Oh God, gotcha.
So there was no like basically you grow the hell up and we don't talk about nothing.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That's the OG way.
Yep.
Well,
It is. It is. It is.
Like for me, like me and my brother growing up, it was like before my little brother came along, that added more even stress and everything because my mom was always working between 40-hour, 80-hour weeks.
Yeah.
and I'm raising a kid at 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
And then whenever see like my brother was allowed to go do whatever he wanted, but me, I had to stay home watch my brother. And like I wasn't allowed, like I've never been to a school dance, never been to a prom, never done, I was not allowed to play sports, nothing. It was always go to school, come home, go to church, come home. That's it. Yeah.
Whoa, wait, of course, church. What type of church, man?
Pentecostal.
What type of church?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, what type of church? Like, Christian, Jehovah,
Yeah,
Mormon,
Christian.
just straight Christian. All right.
Yep.
Yeah. Because that depicts a lot of stuff too. Because you kind of pick up some emotion off that church too. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's why I said that.
And then just keep me posted on the mall, and I'll just see you.
All right. Well, yeah, you lived a, how should I say,
All right, buddy.
you lived a hardcore life, should I say?
Yeah.
You lived with a sibling that you had to kind of watch over. You pretty much had to mother and father the child while mom had to pick up what if daddy was never there? Like, was dad around or no?
Dad left when I was 2 years old.
Okay, so that means mama. Okay,
Oh, yep.
mama was
Yep.
both mom and father. All right, and then that's where you had to pick up. Hey,
Yep.
but let me tell you this: not all of that, that you had to do was a bad thing.
Nope.
That's right. There you go.
Because it taught me how to be the man I am today.
Hey, God bless. God bless you on that one, man.
And I do want to point out, I want to take this moment to point out that women can also put that stigma into men, into their children, about sucking it up and
Yes.
holding their emotions. And it's probably even more so with single moms. Because I know I not so much, like, I don't have any sons, I have daughters, and I was a single mom. And it wasn't so much that I told my kids to suppress their emotions or anything, but like one common thing I used to say to my older daughter, my kids are 2 years apart, is you're older, you know better, right? You get that a lot. So like when you're
Right.
supposed to be, when you're being left in charge and putting on responsibilities that unfortunately happens in the society with single parents, whether it's the man or the female, male or female having the child, is that you expect that you're relying on that older sibling.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, to comment on that, the older sibling thing, my ex used to do that to my oldest all the time, and it messed her up now pretty bad because she has this motherly like tendency. I don't know if you ever noticed it when we all were talking, and you can hear her in the background. She like tries to be their mom, but that was because her mom kept putting that on her.
Yeah,
Like she kept telling her, "Oh, hey, do this for them, do that for them, do this for them." Because I wasn't home when me and her were together. I was working. I was doing like 50 hours a week, so I'm out of the house 50 hours doing stuff, or sometimes longer, depending on what I was doing, what job I was doing at the time. Because one of them I was on like 70 hours plus working because I was the only one working, and then the other one I was working 50 hours, and then she was telling them, "Oh, do this for them, do that for them," and you could see it a lot of times when they were interact. She'd have that motherly defense thing when it was just me and them. So I had to put her in charge sometimes. Like, hey, listen, just make sure you do this or whatever. And I'd ask her to little tasks, which she didn't tell me at the time. It was a lot mentally taxing to her too.
right. And the thing is like you got, what was I gonna say? You got to remember, it's not there. It's not. We're not saying in any way, shape, or form that single parents are awful parents and they put
No,
too much
God,
pressure
no, we're not. I've been a
on
single
their
parent. Buzz is a
older
single parent.
siblings or
We've been there.
anything
We
like
know.
that. We know. But there is a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it. And a lot of times we do overtax. We do rely too much when we shouldn't.
Yeah, but there's
Absolutely.
no handbook on what to do when you're a single parent, though. You think
Right.
about it,
It's a learning as you go type
Yeah.
thing
And
anyway.
unfortunately, sometimes it's going to sound bad, but there's casualties of war. You learn and you kind of go on about it because sometimes you don't realize how much pressure you're putting on these older siblings for them to do stuff, and it could be rough.
Right. And it also could be
You know,
a learned
yeah,
behavior.
hey, hey, my best friend. Well, he's my best friend for right now.
He said
He's
right now.
yeah, for right now. No, but he's he's lived underneath his single parent mother, should I say? He's been raised by a single parent mother, and he's like totally the toughest man I've ever seen. There is no there's no emotions, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
between that, and it's crazy, and I see it,
And
and
you know what
yeah,
could be? It could probably be is that, since he was the single parent, he was the man of the house kind of thing. Since his mom was a single, you know how they always
that's what
trained
it
him,
was, and that's what I'm
and
saying.
that's what it sounds like a lot like. So I could relate to that. I get that.
No, yeah, no, and it's funny because the man comes out of him when men are physical, so we laugh at other people's pain. That's who we are. It's just funny, and but it's not really supposed to be funny, but that's the irony of it. And we're like, well, I'm in pain, but I'm gonna laugh at this fool, and that's how he is. And I'm like, damn, dude, like you're holding a lot of grudge, aren't you? He's like, Kyle, let's change the page. I was like, all right. I just start
Like,
laughing.
let's not talk about me.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I get
That's
it.
great.
I'll laugh it off, and I'll see if he catches it, and he'll look at me and he'll be like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "Yeah, fool, you're being too much. You're too hard on yourself. Calm down."
Yeah, my brother in law is like that too, man. He's real rough around the edges, but he spent some time in prison. Like you can tell this guy's done some time. Like he's just rough, but once you get to know him, you understand that's just his exterior. He's a real nice guy though, man. Real great advice. Like I had a couple questions sometimes. He gave some great ass advice. And he was a single parent too for a while, and he was dealing with a lot of shit. But
Yeah,
he was that macho persona though, man. Like your friend is. He was just like
yeah,
hard around the edges kind of thing. But once you get to know him, it's a whole nother ball game.
yeah.
Now,
Exactly.
now,
That's how I guarantee that's how it was when Buzz got to meet you, huh? You and OG. It was like,
Oh God,
holy
she
crap.
doesn't even know the asshole side yet. There's people at work that tell people I'm an asshole, but I'm like, yeah, but I'm the most loyal person you know. Like I protect my people. Like if some
Yeah,
shit go down, I'll cover for you. I got you. But at the
I
same
got
time, I'm
you.
very stern.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Yep. There's
OG, were
time.
you going to say
There's
something?
times.
Sorry, OG.
I was gonna say to Pete, you were talking about your therapist earlier, and
Yeah,
I'm glad you found a good one so far. So far, seems like it's a
Yeah,
very good one. When I first, and I think that's a big thing. I know some people who go to therapy and they get horrible therapists, or they get therapists who do not give a crap. So then they get swapped from therapist to therapist to therapist, and then they kind of lose hope because it's like, well, maybe it's not the therapist, it's me. I'm the problem.
yeah, yeah.
Now,
Also,
my
oh,
therapist.
when I met my therapist, and I love her to death. But see, being raised by my father, well, my father was around back in the 90s, he didn't really hear about depression and anxiety and all that stuff. So I was never raised with any of that stuff. So I always said, like, oh, that's just make believe stuff. People just tell you, just so you have a problem. So when I met my therapist, I was like, all right, I'm here because of whatever reason. And just so we get this out in the open, I'm bluntly honest. I think what you do is a joke. All right, let's go from here. So,
This is said. I
I
think
was
it's a
like,
joke. What?
let's see if you can help me. But I mean, I don't really believe in what you do.
Oh, I
And
get
she's
it.
like,
You basically told
and
him
she,
prove me wrong.
and she was like, okay. And to this day, I've seen her for over a year now. She's every now and then she's like, I still remember when we first met. You told me you didn't believe what I do, and I was a joke. I was like, yeah, but you know what? You turned out to be a great therapist. So I mean,
Listen, my one I just met gave me the greatest. Made the greatest statement of all time. She said, "Don't give up on therapy if it doesn't work between us. Just because I'm not able to help you doesn't mean somebody's going to be able to help you." And I think that's the best message to give. Like OG was saying,
mhm,
sometimes they just don't click, and man, and you may have to go look for a couple people and see and find somebody. It's all right. They'll admit to you too. A good one will tell you, "Hey, don't give up on the idea of getting help. It's just if I can't help you, I guarantee there's somebody that can."
mhm.
I'm sure Sean can relate to this too. I don't know how many he had to go through to find a good one too, and stuff like that too. But like as soon as she said that, I felt at home. I was like, all right, I like her already. I was like, that says a lot. That and the fact that, like I said, she didn't diagnose anything right off the bat. She was like, you know what, for paperwork's sake, I'm telling you, this is what I'm putting down just because I have to. But I don't honestly believe anything right this minute. She's like, we're going to get to the bottom of it first, then decide what it is.
Exactly.
Mine
Exactly.
was the same exact way.
Yeah, because there's nothing to cook. There's no cookie cutter out there, guys. If you're listening to this now, if you need to talk to somebody, talk to somebody, man. The National Suicide Hotline number is 1-800-273-8255. If you need to call somebody, hell, you can even talk to me. I'll give you my damn phone number. You can call me directly. I'll talk to you. I'm fucked up too, but I'll listen to you. Trust me. I'm a big, strong believer. I've been there. I've been to the edge. I've been to that edge where I was so close that I wouldn't be sitting here right now if it wasn't for one person. And she knows who she is. It relates to the whole, it relates to religion a little bit too, because she was a big religion person. I never believed in God for a while and stuff like that. Not trying to get totally off topic, but it's. I feel like ever since I accepted Jesus into my life and all that stuff, I feel like I've noticed a lot of different things. Like now, I want to have help. I don't avoid getting help, and things like that. And it may not be the same for everybody else. Don't think I'm trying to force feed it to you, because I felt the same way about religion. When people try to cram it down your throat, it's like, ugh. Nobody's trying to cram anything in your throat. We're just saying, if you need help, guys, go get some help. Don't be too proud to help yourself if something happens, because at that point, you may not be able to come back from what happens.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Because, like I said,
Remember, God said compromise with yourself too, though.
Right.
He did.
yeah, like I said, there've been a couple of times when, especially in the middle of having a depression battle, like I said, all I gotta do is just turn that wheel just a little bit, and you can never come back from it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing, man. That's the only thing people have to remember, man. Sometimes, you get to that point that a lot of people don't make it back from them, unfortunately, and that's the craziest part. And the other big thing I hear a lot of too is a lot of things I say whenever I hear somebody's committed suicide, it's usually it's hey man, you don't know what people are thinking. Like they may tell you they're okay, but are they really okay? It's the real question you need to wonder.
And I'm glad you said that. Actually, it's very powerful. People just use the soundbite just to get extra views on TikTok, but I
God.
love listening to it. Is when someone says the biggest lie I've ever told was I'm all right.
Exactly.
That hit so hard.
And just
It
like
did
I
too, man.
said,
John, it hit hard for me too,
just
man.
and just like I said at the beginning of this episode was one of the reasons why we say that is because we feel like nobody really gives a shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Listen, man, at the end of the
But
day, the
that,
message I
but
spread is
not.
that it costs nothing to be human to somebody, guys. It doesn't matter
I'll
how bad
say
your day is, just to be positive to somebody, you can make a change in their life and you don't even know it.
exactly something I've learned here lately, and I just do it. I'll go up to somebody that I know or I don't even know, and I'll say hi, ask them how their day is. Heck, I saw this girl that I'm friends with, and she was sitting at the in the break room, and I bought her a little bag of pickles, and I gave it to her, and she was like, "What's this for?" I was like, "You just look down. I just wanted to make your day better. Maybe me doing something kind for somebody made their day better." And
Exactly.
later they came up to me and said, "You know how much that meant to me." And I was like, to me, it was just like, it's just a bag of pickles. Like, it ain't a big deal to me, but to them, it meant something.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
like, the way you treat people, you may not think like, "Oh, I'm having a bad day. I'm going to take my anger out on this random Joe." Well, that random Joe is going to take their day out on somebody else, and that could change somebody's world in so many ways.
Yeah, that's true. Like where I work, man, I got a lot of people come with me, tell me some of the craziest stories. Like what is it? I think so far this year it was one guy said his wife died, came in and told me about it. And what was it the other day? Father's Day, the day after. Yeah, no, Father's Day. That morning, Sunday, that Monday morning, the day after, I was working overnight, and this guy came up to me. I know him all the time. Comes in and say, "Hey, man, how you doing?" He goes, "Well, my son killed himself last night." And I was like, "Whoa, this conversation just got serious."
Wow.
And I was
Shots
like,
fired.
"Damn." Like I was like, damn, man. I said, like, how are you doing? And he's like, oh, well, it happened before Father's Day. And I said, well, damn. I'm like, I'm sorry to hear that. And there was a guy that used to come in all the time. That was a preacher, was one that was talking to me about religion when I decided to accept Jesus and everything. But he'd always said the same thing. He always noticed about me. He says that he always noticed that I was real genuine with people, and I am. I'm real genuine to a lot of people. I understand shit happens, man. But if you ever need somebody to talk to, I always listen. Like I've been told some crazy shit. Like that's not the first time. There was one where a guy came in. I asked him like, "Hey, how you doing, man?" He goes, "You want to really know how I'm doing?" I said, "Sure. What's wrong, man? Everything good?" And he's like, he literally told me his exact words is that his son died 10 minutes prior to him walking into where I was at, and something about his wife was responsible. But I don't remember the full story. But I do remember he had said that, and the look in his eyes, man, was just like it was fucking intense. Like he looked stared into my soul. And I was like, and he's like, you know what, man, I appreciate you asking. He's like, it just felt good to tell somebody about it. And I was like, listen, man, I'm always here. You ever want to talk? Like, I'm listening. It costs nothing to be nice to people, man. Like, it takes
Exactly.
2 seconds, costs nothing to just be genuine to people, man. Like, you don't have to know these people to get to know them. Like, hell, I don't know Sean, and Sean and I met on TikTok, and he's going to be here next week for to be a guest on the show. And that's how I met Buzz too. Buzz and I just hit it off just like that. OG and I don't know each other, and that's how we all met all together through people. Like it's crazy. My best friend, he and I met playing Call of Duty, and I call him about everything. He knows about all my problems. He knows about every fucking single thing. He was there through the time when me and my ex were splitting up, and when I was going through that whole thing, he was the one trying to tell me to wake up and realize what's going on, dude. He's like, "Hey, man, wake up and realize what's going on. You know, she's got you in a mental trance." You know, so it's just crazy, man. It's crazy. It's
You
like the
know,
shit I get told on a daily basis just shocked. It just fucking rocks you, man. You're like, damn. You
the
think your
story I'm
day's
about.
bad, and then something else comes in and it's fucking worse.
Oh yeah, the story I'm about to tell you just gave me chills just thinking about it. About a month ago, my buddy's girl is going through a lot. Like man, like she has schizophrenia and everything, so she goes through a lot of episodes.
Oh shit.
And
I'm
and
sorry,
we
man.
and we were going to Walmart, and I just I kind of put my arm on her arm like, hey, are you all right? And she's like, no, I'm not. And she started getting emotional, like, what's wrong? And her man was like, let's go inside, or we can sit in the car. It's about to rain. I'm like, shut up. What's wrong? And he goes,
Exactly.
well, he's like, I don't want to get wet. I'm like, no, what's wrong? And she started breaking down about how she, she's like, I'm such a bad mom and everything. She put her hand on my face. She's like, you're like a son to me. And I'm like, all right, then I'll be your son, mom. What happened? I'm stooping myself down to get her to open up, get her to vent. And it started pouring, and she's crying, and she's venting to me about everything she's done in her life. She only known me for 2 days, and her man sitting and looking at me like, all right, can we go inside? I said, no, you never ever stop someone when they're venting. If they're gonna vent, let them
Exactly.
vent. It does not matter what's going on right here, right now. And people are looking at it. She has her head buried in my chest, and she's like, I don't. I'm like, she's like, do we need to take her to the hospital? Like, no, let her go. We're fine. We're in a parking lot. We're just let her
The
go.
fact
Just
that
let her
he
vent.
said, we need to take her to the hospital, you should have just slapped him right there. I'm like, bro, what is wrong with
Oh
you? She
man,
don't need a hospital. She's talking to you. Listen to what she's saying. Like Sean says, listen to what she's saying. Just let her talk. Like it costs nothing to listen to people like that, you know. And Sean's right, man. You don't have to know people long. Like 2 days, and she's telling you all that. Listen, man, you must just give off that vibe, bro. That real good, like chill vibe to people that they can feel like they can tell you stuff. Because that's what I get
absolutely.
too.
That's good.
That's
Like
just crazy,
I'm just
man.
that person. Like I can go on someone's live on TikTok and they're like, "Hey Sean, if I ever need to talk," I said, "Look, send me a message." I'm waiting on SSI right now. I got nothing but days. I got
I
nothing
think
right
I got
now.
nothing but time, baby. Let's
I
do
got
this.
nothing but time. Let's go. Like my ex, he's like, I'm not one for venting, but I need to talk to you. So I said, he goes, but I can't look at you while I talk to you. I said, hold on, I got something for you. I walked over, turned the light off, closed the door, and it was pitch black. He was like, why'd you do that for? I laid in bed. I said, now talk. He talked to me for hours. Like we talked for like almost 6 hours. And he's like, wow. I said, that's what. Sometimes that's what you have to do. Just turn everything off. Just turn everything off. Phones off. Everything off. Talk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is weird how even the stigma of talking about your feelings and talking to for men to talk, even when it's a relationship like that, male relationship, that they still have the problem of processing their feelings and being able to talk because that stigma that men have to hold in their emotions and stuff is so well ingrained in our society and how we're raised or the people we're around, that even partners like that
Oh
have
shit.
struggle.
You
It might
know,
be.
it's funny you say that, Buzz. Not to cut you off, I have something I'll tell you about really quick. We're going to touch on it next week, though. It's next week's Pride episode. But my brother literally had to write my mom a letter about how he was gay, like the whole thing. Like he was afraid to give it to her because he was afraid to tell her how he felt about it because she was so disgusted by the idea. Now she's okay. But at the time, he was so afraid to express how he felt. He had to write a 5-page letter for this woman, and he gave it to her, and he was a complete fucking mess for days until she finally said something about it after reading it all. So it's crazy.
Oh yeah.
Dude, fucking P. Wait, or OG, the one who told that whole story, or I think it was Sean, the whole story about like sitting there 6 o'clock, like turn off the lights, 6 hours of
Yeah, that was
conversation.
Sean.
Yep. That was me.
Sean, bro, that's what I do on a workout session every time with my friend. Like I said, the one that I'm calling my best friend for now.
Right.
And let me tell you this, his mental standpoint has changed while talking to me, and his physical standpoint, because he was kind of big. He was kind of a big boy, dude. He was like 5'9". He's 5'9", just like me, or 5'8". Actually, no, he's smaller than me. My bad. I think he's 5'8". But he weighed about 185, 190 pounds, and now he's like 165, 170, and he's pure muscle now. He's like muscle.
Oh wow.
And his not just his mental state changed, but his physical has changed too. And I told him, come with me to the gym, like we could help each other out.
Yeah,
But it
definitely
looks
stress reliever
but it
too.
looked like I helped him out.
Absolutely.
It felt good. It feels good when should I say, fix yourself before you can fix somebody else.
Exactly.
Now, does anybody else ever have this? I've thought about it. I laugh about it every time. We can give the best advice in the world, but we cannot take our own.
Yep.
Can't be a
That's
hypocrite.
straight to the point.
It sucks.
Like I can help anybody in their relationship, and they're like, why are you single?" I'm like, "Good question."
No, there are some hypocritical like standpoints. It's like a double standard. But you're like, yo, don't look at my standard, bro. Just don't do what I'm doing.
Yeah, don't
Well,
do what I do.
yeah, exactly. That's my stance too. It's like don't do something I've done. Let me talk to you from experience. So I tell these younger kids, I'm like, yo, let me drop some knowledge on you, little one. I said, I know we're gonna sound like I'm lecturing, but let me tell you from experience, the things you don't want to do are these.
Yeah.
Now, when I tell people don't do what don't do anything I would do, they all laugh. I'm like, no, seriously, don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Yeah. Like, no, I wasn't laughing, dog. Like,
I usually add the list is pretty short, so you may not miss anything on that list. By the way, and they just look at me. I'm like, yep, you heard it.
yep, could be the smallest list ever.
Right.
But I will
Exactly.
say this though, on the mental health aspect of this, I will say this. I'm an avid gamer. I play a little bit of everything, but the two biggest ones I play is Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto. Man, these kids these days on those games, man. If I talk to my parents the way I hear some of these kids talk to their parents, I probably wouldn't be sitting here
No.
today.
I was one of those kids, man. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I was that one.
about
Y'all
to
can't see me.
say.
I'm raising my hand. I was worse.
Pete's still
Those
like
Call of
that
Duty Black
sometimes.
Ops 2 lobbies, goddamn, dude. The things we said to each other, we were just throwing explosions beyond that. We were throwing nukes at each other, basically, just shit we would say. You ever had a
Absolutely.
13-year-old cuss you out, tell you to come over and fuck your daughter? Let me tell you, that was a fun one too. I was like, damn, listen.
Woo!
I'm like, applaud you, young man. That's some shit to say right there.
It was like the other day I was playing Madden and I won the game and I said all I said was the whole game was GG's. Like he was like 7 8 years old. He was like, "Fuck you, you fat motherfucker." He went off. I'm like, "Oh, whoa,
You know,
whoa, whoa,
that's my favorite part though. They all go to your fat. It's like you don't even know what I look like, so I know I'm husky. What the hell, man? Like that's their
I,
go-to. They call it go-to thing. Oh, you're a sweaty gamer, so you're fat. I'm like, not always.
OG,
Why you
OG,
calling me out?
we need like a little button we can push that be like, man, you sound big.
Like, no.
One of our friends, Junior, was been talking to this girl. He a player out there.
Oh, Jesus.
And they were gaming, but he was like sick. So this like next time he had his mic on and they were talking and they were gaming, she's just like, boy, you sound big, like, because he's like out of breath.
But no, the first time I went live on GTA, this kid, it was like 11:30 at night, and this kid was like, all I heard was his mom in the background say, "Didn't I tell you to go to bed an hour ago?" He's like, "B, shut the f up." I'm like, "Oh my god!" And he went on and on and on and on, and I'm like, and his mom's like, "Okay, I'll give you another hour. I love you, sweetheart."
That's funny that
Oh
they
no.
I'm like,
you gotta
"No,
just give
he
up. My mom
didn't."
would have beat my ass. You would have heard me hit my ass
Exactly.
on that mic.
like
What'd you
like
say,
like
boy? And they just hear that belt slapping.
my mom was a ring wearer, so
Like Buzz would have been really filling out a milk carton.
Yep.
My dad had this bullwhip. He was notorious for it. Like you knew when you were fucked because when he was
When I
really
was a
quiet, and
kid,
real calm when he came to talk to you. You knew your ass was getting annihilated.
oh
when I
yeah.
was a kid, my mom would make one little face, and I knew, nope, back up. Don't even get near her.
Oh,
That she's gonna knock us
that
out. She's
mom
like,
look,
nope.
man, that mom look is real.
And
Mm-hmm.
she would have a look in her eye, and her lip would snarl up a little bit. I was like, nope, not me to back up. I wouldn't even
Taking
say
you
I
back.
love you at that point. It was like, nope, anything I say or do,
At that
I'm
moment,
gone.
he realized he fucked up.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Look,
And
Yep.
I bring
my
it up to
mama would
I
always
bring it
tell
up to
us.
I bring it up to her now. She's like, I didn't do that.
Exactly. See,
What?
that's
Yep.
that shit my mom
Yep.
pulls my kids too. I never
And
did
she's
that.
like,
I was like,
Yep.
girls, let me
she
tell you, your grandmother beat the piss out of me a couple times.
like
I
she,
never
she
did that.
lets
Your parents
my
are
she
lying.
lets my kids get away with murder. I'm like, what? You would have never done that for me. Ah,
Yeah.
you just
See,
making up
Oh,
lies. You just
back
you
making
guys,
up
you guys,
lies. Like,
you guys are
back
talking
to
about
like
bad
Suck.
us
kids.
meaning back to us talking about forgiving people and how the forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. When I
Yeah.
finally had it out with my mom like 6 years ago and asked her like why she did these things to me and why she would was so hard and gave me up and didn't care about me, all the stuff I went through or I felt, and then her always being like that never happened. She finally just said, well, I was doing the best I thought I could do, and I knew you could handle it. And I was like, if you thought that was your best, then
But that
that's
goes to the single
all
parent.
right.
Was
Then
he a
I
single
forgive you and
parent
I
though
move on.
too?
No, no.
Huh?
My favorite part is I know that you could handle it, and
I knew you could handle it. Yeah.
you're
Because
like,
yeah.
the issue
yo.
with her, the issue with that I had with her the most was that my sister's 8 years older than me.
Yeah,
She lived with my mom the longest. She kicked me out, got rid of me when I was 11. Um, she's always bailed my sister out even to this day, and it's like you coddle her and help her with everything, and I have to like work so hard. I used to fight, not work hard or fight, but I used to work hard, but I not fight as much on doing my best to get her attention, getting good grades, going to art school, going to art competitions, getting in the newspaper, all kinds of stuff just to like show my worth to my mom because I didn't feel that she cared or loved me and I was worth nothing to her because that's how she treated me.
really.
So when I came up to her and let this out, because my thing was is I wasn't going to let her do the same thing to my kids, which when she started to do that, I stopped letting her see my kids because she was treating my kids just how she used to treat me and treating my sister's kids like they were princesses and my kids were garbage. And I stopped that. I was just like, I'm not going with that. But one of her biggest things was like, oh, I never did that. But the thing is like she might have abused me and neglected me a lot, and I got more of the emotional abuse than my older sister.
Yeah,
But she did abuse my sister too, and my sister witnessed a lot of my abuse. Even though she got that special treatment,
yeah,
she did witness the stuff happening to me and understood that it was wrong and everything.
yeah.
But
The one
Do not use your. And here's a crazy like standpoint. It's also kind of
people try
hypocritical.
calling me.
Which I know.
He's like, damn it, I'm busy right now. Can y'all stop trying to call? Damn it.
Yeah. So
It's
here's
like,
here's a
stop it.
crazy hypocritical standpoint. Also, it's when how should I say when the person's parent was like, "Oh well, my parent never hit me." I'd be like, you know what? I don't care if they never hit you, but your child should not be able to talk to you in that way. I
oh
do
Exactly.
yeah,
not care.
Mhm.
Like that's my like I had to do that with one of my family members, and I was just like, yo. go ahead, let your child come spend the night at my house. You're gonna see them come. Like I was Bernie. And I still am. I'm known as the Bernie Mac of uncles, and I'm like, your
Oh
child
no,
will be
Bernie
fucking
Mac.
fixed.
Oh yes, here we
Your
go.
child will be fucking fixed, dude. Like they are not gonna get away with murder. Not in my fucking house. Like, and that's what it was. Like that. This child is known for like, if the child hears the word no, he will scream at the top of his lungs. And I was like, I did that, and I did that like a lot too, but I got my ass whipped,
Get
Yep.
popped in the
and I was,
mouth.
yeah, I got popped in the mouth. I had it all, bro.
I'm gonna give
I
you
had,
something to cry about.
yeah,
My mom
bro,
used to drag me across the floor because I did the fainting act thing. So
yeah. Look at
she'd start
popped in
yelling
the
at
mouth.
me. So my dad would just drag me across the fucking floor. Like I do this fainting act thing. So then apparently he said that my mom would just sit there and yell at me. He would just walk around the store and drag me behind. People just watching me. He's like, "Oh no, he's okay. Don't worry." So that shit was great. My mom would whoop my ass half these kids the way to talk to me. You would have heard her beating the piss out of me. Like my old man too. He would be like, "What was that?" Well, that's the problem. I think these kids these days don't get enough discipline. They get to say whatever they want to their parents, and their parents kneel down to them instead of them being the parent.
But yeah, the one thing that messed me up growing up was when I tried talking to my mom and everything, and she's like, "Well, you just don't understand. You know, mom's got to work. Mom's got to do this. Mom's got to do that." So it's like I understand, but we don't get to sit down. We don't do anything. We don't do anything. And then she's like, "Sean, you don't understand." And I'm like, "Stop telling me I don't understand when I'm trying. Why don't we sit here and have an adult conversation and talk about this?" And she's like, "Well, we'll talk." Then she tried to slide the old saying on there of "We'll talk about it when you get older." No, let's talk about this now. Like I need fruit and tangible stuff so we can talk about it today.
How old
So
were
I
you
know
at
how
the
to
time
do
when
it.
you asked that question, though?
Like 15,
Yeah.
16.
Yeah, see, that's okay. Mine kids were younger, so I couldn't talk to them about it like I can now. They're a little older, so they understand. I use that same reasoning. Well, why don't we do anything? Because Dad's got to do this, I got to do that. And it's hard when I'm juggling 3 kids and 2 jobs, trying to pay everything, and they're upset because they don't get to do much of anything. But then, I try to let them hang out with their friends as best they can. We lived down the street from my parents for the longest time, so they were close. So all their friends lived in the neighborhood. Then we had to move because it was a cheaper option. They didn't understand, what was going on. They're mad because I moved them farther away from their friends. I'm like, well, you don't understand because I gotta be able to handle this stuff. I'm doing this on my own. I'm doing it all by myself. And my dad, which was the most shocking thing ever said to me, is that he said that he couldn't do it. He said, I don't know how you're doing it, raising 3 kids on your own. I couldn't do it. And I've never heard that man ever admit defeat about anything.
Right.
Now,
It's
Sean,
weird.
have you talked to your mom now about things in the past on like or like had a conversation about that at all? Like
Um.
even the positive negative way, like about her not wanting to talk to you about it, or like how like you're
So
older now, you understand that it must have been really difficult for her being a single mom to have to do this. Not that it excuses her, but then to be able to get that as an opening to talk to her more about your feelings and the situations and things that happened that she refused to talk to you about.
there are some times that we can actually talk about certain things, and but it just to me now it seems like a lot of justification. She's like there's times like we talk about certain topics, like for instance, like today, mental health. I'm like, some of the things that you've done, when I was a kid. I understand you had to work, but sometimes you put your work before us. Like you spent more money on yourself going to get your nails done, going to get this. She's like, yeah, but you didn't understand the struggles I was going through. I'm like, but mom, there was 3 years where the school had to pay for me to go get clothes and shoes and stuff. So I'm not wearing the same, like to the point where my shoes like are talking to me. And she's like, well, I need to get my hair done. I need to get my nails done. And I'm like, now some days we can work some things out. Other days it's more of a justification, like excuses of why she did what she did.
Yeah.
and that's what
Sounds
hits
like
hard
it's more. Sounds
sometimes.
like more of a her needs than wants, or her wants versus needs being handled. Is what it sounds like to me. Oh, well, I want all these things, but do you need these things? No, you don't need
Right.
these things.
Right. I went through this with my sister, with my nieces, because me being the younger sister, I for years, and I'm really proud of my niece because she's done really good from herself. She's a hard worker and everything, and she's not following into her mom's footsteps, thank God. But it would be like she needed her. My oldest niece has a whole bunch of allergies and stuff. She couldn't drink certain formulas. She couldn't have milk and all that stuff. So she needed special stuff besides like being breastfed and everything. And then she was allergic to berries. She was allergic to all kinds of different foods, all kinds of stuff, crazy. So, but like my sister would be like, "Oh, she needs Pampers. She needs this. She needs food. She needs that." Wouldn't, but asking us to help, which is fine, and I always would help, and I would buy my niece clothes, diapers, milk, whatever she needed, whatever her and her husband needed for
Sorry
her,
about that.
because oh, you're fine. But in the same thing, it's just like they're buying cartons of cigarettes. So it's like, why? Like, you need to make a choice. It's pretty easy
stick?
choice for me. Is my child
No,
going to eat or drink?
You're in the pool. You don't need the stick.
It is, is your child going to be taken care of, or is your cigarettes more important? Especially like now, like a carton of cigarettes is like a couple $100. It's ridiculous.
Depends what kind you're getting. Yeah, Stacy smokes, so I know that feeling.
But still, it's like, all right, well, if you that carton of cigarettes, let's say even back then, was like $50. Like that's $50 that could have bought you several gallons of milk and some Pampers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, I'm so
Exactly.
sorry. I'm so sorry that I left. It was
you're fine.
I had to take that union call.
No, you're
Sorry
good, bud. No, take that call if you have to ever. It's not a big deal. We appreciate it though.
Yep.
Sorry. I was listening kind of to that, after I said Bernie Mac, and yeah, sometimes those kids go off the wall. They go off the wall sometimes.
Like Bernie Mac just said, those kids need a whooping.
Oh, dude, that's all they need sometimes. Is whooping
Need a little damn discipline in their lives.
Or like a different type of discipline, like the kid that I had to deal with screamed to the top of his lungs, and I was like, "Wait, what was that? Say it again." He was like, "Wait." He was like, "Dude, this guy's walking over me." I was like, "Yeah, say it again." And I had a big smile on my face. That kid was like, "Okay, this guy means business."
Right?
That kid stopped.
Oh, that dominance, coach. Tell them.
Yeah, no. What
I
I
feel
did
like that's
was
a problem nowadays, that too
was
many
like,
parents want to be their kids' best friend.
Yep,
big one.
I
too.
agree.
So
Yeah.
then when years go by, they're like, you know what? They're getting old enough. Let me discipline them. Then they're like, who are you? At that point, you're a joke to them.
Well, in the situation of a step parent too, it's like you're not my real dad. I never started trying to be a real dad. I'm just me.
Yeah, we could go into a whole episode on that. We could go in a whole episode on that.
We could, Buzz. That's a good idea for another episode.
But the child that needs that type of work, give them work. And that's actually the biggest and the best advice that I got. If the child wants to act like a grown up, you give them work like a grown up.
Exactly.
You go,
Teach them young.
See, I have a stepson, and it's gonna be real short. He's challenged me for years. He's challenged me for years. And one day he said something to me, "I hate you," and I was like, "Okay." And I continued on, and he's like, "You hear me?" Oh, I heard you. I said, "Okay." And
I
he's
heard
like,
you loud and clear.
I said, "I hate you."
I
I
heard
was
you,
like, "What you're trying to do is you're trying to get a reaction out of me. You want that negative reaction. You want me to get angry, but in all honesty, and I don't care whether you hate me." And he just looked at me. He's like, "What?" I was like, "I don't care if you hate me. My job is not for you to like me. My job is to make sure there's a roof over your head, food in your stomach, clothes on your back, and you get an education. Everything else is optional. TV is optional. Video games is optional. Toys is optional." I was like, because my job is to make sure you get an education so you don't struggle like I struggle. Because I want better for you. And ever since that day, he has not challenged me like that ever again.
That's deep. That's deep. That's deep.
All right,
That's
guys, we're gonna wrap up this week's episode right there. Next week, our episode is gonna be Pride. Sean's gonna join us for that one. He's gonna talk about his story, how everything like that. Tell us a little more about himself and how his experience was. I'm gonna share experience with my brother, who's transgender, and how I've been his biggest support system from the beginning. Coach, you can join us if you like. We're probably gonna be on about the same time, 4 o'clock. Usually is when we start doing it, Central Standard Time. Does anybody have any final thoughts before we close out this episode?
Reach
I have to
out to
say,
the
this is
people.
probably.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you go first.
I was gonna say, reach out to your support systems. Anybody that you consider your family, your loved one, and everybody. Reach out to them and talk to them. It will help you in the long run.
I had to say that this was probably the best episode we've ever done, in my opinion. A lot more people joined in, and it's good to have other opinions out there and hear other struggles that people go through. And actually, that can bring people closer together to know that other people do struggle and you're not alone.
Exactly, guys. And on that note, join us next week for Pride. Like I said, we're going to discuss that. Coach, you're more than welcome to join us if you like. You can follow us on the Facebook group, Pete's Corner Store, on the Facebook. Check me out at TikTok at Pete's Corner Store Podcast. And as always, guys, we'll see you at the Corner Store.